Hello, Eight of Cups family. Welcome to Eight of Cups Tarot, and welcome to Virgo season, guys. We've got a lot going on in the skies this month. September is another intense month, although not quite as jarring and intense as August was. We are still dealing with the calamity of the things that occurred in August. You know, the Uranus station is still very prominent in our sky, as well as the second full moon in Aquarius. And when we move into Virgo season, and especially as we have Venus moving through the sign of Libra the first half of the month, our attention is really going to be turned towards our ability to have compassion. Now, looking at the current state of things in this world, and my condolences and my whole heart goes out to the troops that were sacrificed in Afghanistan, and praying that the rest of these people can get home safely. We kind of have to look at ourselves as a nation and as humanity and really lean on our ability to have compassion. Now, the tricky part of Virgo energy is to have compassion without judgment. And a lot of this month is going to be us being compelled to say, yeah, but they should have done this. Yeah, but they should have done that. And there has to reach a culmination point for us in which we can accept where we are right now and how to proceed. This is in terms of mundane astrology. This is in terms of our current conditions as a collective, and it also plays out in our personal lives as well. Virgo energy can make you feel the need to perfect everything in your life. And it's not a really healthy place to be. I'm allowed to say this because I'm a Virgo with the Virgo stellium, so I'm very familiar with where these perfectionism obsessions can lie in our lives. And quite honestly, when we spend a lot of time focusing on everything that is wrong, it's really hard to maintain that high vibrational energy that helps us to accomplish, that helps us to manifest, that helps us to bring peace into our personal lives, and therefore create peace throughout the collective. So it's a little bit of a duality. The good thing about Virgo energy is that it's always fair. And especially as we approach this new moon in Virgo and the full moon in Pisces, there's a lot of energy into our gifts as humans, into the compassion that we can have for other people, and our ability to put ourselves in other people's shoes and truly understand where they are coming from. And I think this energy will allow us to make some pretty big breakthroughs as far as dropping some of the animosity that we have and coming together for the greater good. Now, my hope in all of this, and what I truly hope we could all reach within the next couple weeks, at least the first half of this Virgo season, is the quality of time that we spend in our lives doing the things that we love with the people that we love. There's an emphasis on relationships here. There's an emphasis on the other people in our lives and the roles that they play. Now, I always look at Virgo season as so appropriate when we look at the way that we're developed, you know, the way that at least us in the Western Hemisphere, Northern Hemisphere, you know, it's back to school time. So we're getting back into our routines, and Virgo really loves a routine. We're also probably, in terms of health, we're looking at the COVID variants, and, you know, there's probably a lot more fear amping up throughout our environments again. And so the Virgo energy can talk to you about getting right as far as your nutrition and taking care of your body, exercising, taking the proper vitamins, eating the right foods, eating cleaner foods, not relying so much on fast food. The beauty of the mutability of Virgo is that we're transitioning from one season into the next. We are transitioning from the fun and wild summer into a more sober and responsible time of year. But it's also a time in which we start to prepare for some of the more traditional sides of life, right? Now the kids go back to school, we start talking about schedules and plans and fall plans and what are we going to do for the holidays. And Virgo is all about the planning. So it's a great opportunity for us to get organized in our lives. It's a great opportunity to clean out some of the old stuff in our houses, in our minds, in our bodies, and to get a little bit clearer and stronger in what we want to do next. It's a great time to set goals. And because Venus is in Libra, it's a great time to implement friendships. It's a great time to say to your friend, hey, let's start a walking routine. Let's go for a walk 3 times a week with a best friend, because not only do we need that mutual companionship, but it also kind of helps to hold us accountable. So there's strength in that this month as well. Now we've got Mars moving through Virgo. This is a lot about the military stuff that's going on. You're going to see this playing out for a few more weeks. Of course, you're going to see this playing out for the rest of the year. But things will remain kind of in a heightened state for a few more weeks as Mars makes its way through Virgo. And then finally moves into Libra, which has its own set of interesting factors. But again, leaning towards companionship, leaning towards being fair to all and being honest. So we're looking at a couple more decent months before we roll into November and December, which again really pump up the anxiety, they really pump up the intensity. So I urge all of you, if you are able to rest in September, please do so. Please honor your body, honor your minds, honor yourself. It's a great time to learn to love yourself for where you are and what you have in your life, and be grateful, because when we're on the Virgo Pisces axis, this is all about the service that we do for others, the sacrifices that we make in the name of love, and what we are able to give. And so each of our attention should be put towards that in some way, whether we are packing lunches for our children or, just really enjoying our partners and our friends and the loves in our life, and cherishing those things and being grateful for them, being grateful for our homes, organizing them, taking care of them, closing up that yard work, getting ready for the fall. It's an amazing time of year, and I do wish you guys all the very best in the month of September, and we will get started with your monthly videos. Enjoy, guys. Hello, Libra. Welcome to your cards for September. For my late September Libra birthdays, guys, happy birthday to you. Let's get into these cards now. I just want to say before we start this reading, I just think there's an intense kind of relevance to the fact that you kind of have this natural progression this month of planets kind of moving through your 12th house to your first house and then your second. And I always think of that time of year is like so pivotal. The 12th house can be a difficult time period. It could be a time in which we kind of have to do some shadow work, which we could see with the moon coming out here. But ultimately it's for our greatest good, because it's a time in our lives where we could start to see the way that we unravel ourselves, right? It's, the 12th house is kind of our undoing. How do we undo our success, And I think that's a gorgeous place for Virgo, because we could look at it practically without like blaming ourselves, and we can look at the habits that we have and the things that we do and how they ultimately can kind of sabotage our better ideas. Virgo had a very similar reading, and I suspect that this axis of the zodiac is going to kind of carry this energy on, of like, how can I be better? How can I do better? There's going to be an emphasis on your self-sufficiency, on your finances and your security and your self-worth ultimately by the end of the month. But the beginning of the month is a little bit different in the fact that we kind of have to look at things honestly. things have to come to the surface in order for us to see them and resolve them. And the beautiful thing is that you are coming out this month as a King of Pentacles. And to me, that represents this ability to know your worth, to know your stability, to understand what you bring to the table. And so it's not a sign where you're going to be weighed down in your mind or where you're going to get discouraged because you're good, right? The King of Pentacles ultimately looks towards his future, towards his legacy. And it's not even just about him, because the King of Pentacles is a lot about what you can provide for others as well. And there's probably an emphasis on your mind of, taking care of your families, taking care of yourself, talking about your future, your retirement plans, whatever it is, long-term, long-range goals. And here we have this first row up, the moon, the sun, and the judgment card in reverse. And this is like a really sobering time, but I love that your environment is that of the Emperor. I believe Virgo had the Emperor. You have it twice in your reading. It was very prominent in Virgos. So maybe some of you are working together in certain ways with Virgos in your life. Or this is just the way that the Virgo season is affecting you. The Emperor is a card of Aries. And I'm kind of reminded, we got a taste of this at the end of August when Venus kind of made this opposition to Chiron. And it could bring up some old wounds and stuff. But it's Venus, so it's kind of fast and fleeting, and we get over it and we could work things out with a hug, right? But this month we're going to have the Sun, Mercury, and Mars all making that opposition to both Aries and Chiron, Eris and Chiron in Aries, and it's really going to trigger us. I think that's what this Emperor card is about. It's about where you have to take action. What are the things that you need to do? And it's about the strategic plans, right? Virgo can be very strategic. We also have Venus moving into Scorpio, very strategic energy. It's about the bigger plans for the future. And when I look at this lineup here with this moon, the sun, and the judgment card in reverse, it's about the balance between the good and the bad. Look, everybody should enjoy life to their fullest, right? Love big, work hard, do those things. But if you are somebody who's really looking honestly at your life and saying, well, I wish I had more money, better investments, stronger security, I wish I had a job that paid more, or I wish I was in a relationship in which I was valued and appreciated more. Whatever the story is for you, this is a breakthrough month in order to understand, what comes from fear, what is holding you back, and what is your ultimate destination, and how are your everyday decisions getting you there. Okay, to me, this just feels like a really honest assessment of where you're at and what you need to do. The moon can talk about fear, the lack of not having enough. Probably, it gets very, when we're in moon energy, things could look a lot worse than they truly are, If you think about just the fact of like anxiety when you're going to sleep at night, right? Like when you think about those little problems, but it's like 3 a.m. and you can't fall asleep, and that problem is just seeming 100 times bigger than it actually is. And that's where we could find ourselves this month, a little bit lost in the anxiety. And there seems to be like this balance, you know what you need to do to get out of that energy. And the positive parts of your life, like I always tell people, whenever you find yourself spiraling into negativity, the quickest way to snap yourself out of it is to focus on what you are grateful for. It's the greatest way to calm our minds, to calm our hearts, to kind of tone down our soul a little bit, and especially with the things that are going on in the news and in society, like it's super easy to get stuck in this negativity. But there's always that option, right? And Judgment in Reverse talks to me about those options, that options to look at the things that are in front of you right now. What makes you happy? What are you grateful for? I don't care if it's just a box of cereal in the cupboard, or, your cat, or having that best friend, or that partnership, that companionship in your life that you're so grateful for. There is always something. Every single human on this earth has something in their life they can look at and be grateful for. And when you can do that, it starts to help you put things into perspective. Okay? If you're looking at your life and you're saying, well, I appreciate nothing more than this companionship that I have, or this relationship that I have, or this job that I have, I'm so grateful for the money that I make and my ability to be stable at this time, well then probably it's best to make the decisions that are best for that scenario, right? We could start to look at life and say, well, if I say to you that my family is the thing that I am most grateful for in my entire life, well, then why are you spending all of your time at work? Right? That's just honest. And we can look at it from that point of view this month, and we could start to say, well, what are the things that I do every day? Because the Virgo is always sixth house, right? Our routine. What do I do every day to nurture this, to show that I'm grateful for this thing? What are the decisions that I make on a day-to-day basis that brings me closer to the things that I desire and the things that make me happy? Now, what I love is that we move down into this energy here. So your environment is that of the Emperor, and the Emperor shows up here right next to you, your King of Swords energy. Now, this is actually a card of Aquarius. So Saturn being in Aquarius right now, your fifth house, there might be some very strategic moves that you have to make within this house. Now look, some of us are dealing with issues with our children. Some of us are dealing with issues with like the way that we spend money. The fifth house could be like, you know, you like to shop, you like to buy nice things, quality items, pampering things. It could also be gambling too. Fifth house can be where you take risks. And the King of Swords is so strategic. He's the most strategic and also emotionally detached out of everyone. So here is your environment pushing you, the Emperor, right? This could be a spouse, kids, a boss, just elements of your life that are kind of in your face saying you need to make these changes. And the King of Swords means that now more than ever you have the potential to make these changes in the most positive way that's best for you and your security. Because remember, the universe really wants you to look at your security and the things that you value. So we have this King of Swords right here in the middle, and I feel the emotional detachment. Now we have this card next to it, the Four of Swords, which is also this Aquarius energy. And this is kind of a wake-up call. The Judgment card, the Temperance card, these are all like really loud universal wake-up calls. It's a time the universe wants you to take action. Your loved ones want you to take action. Right here we have the Fortune's wheel, luck and right timing. We cannot take advantage of this energy if we're not willing to wake up and make the changes and to do the things that we need to do. Also super communicative. It's going to be a month where you're going to need to have those conversations, okay? It's going to be a month where you may have to strategically plan with others, ask for other people's advice. It's not such a bad idea. Also, my card of therapy, you know, if you are somebody that's struggling with some sort of an addiction or anything, grief or anything that you're stuck in, there is help available to you if you take the formative action, make the appointment, ask for advice, ask for referrals, you know. But the King of Swords energy is so super future oriented. All of the kings are, right? And we have this card here of maturity. You have the card of maturity. We have the first house, the body, which talks about your actual identity, your title. And I feel like there's tremendous growth in the next phase of your life. I feel like you're moving, you know, towards a more solid, older, wiser type of place, okay? And I love that we have the Sun, the King of Swords, and the Seven of Swords in reverse. When I see this during a 12th house transit, I know the universe has done its job. because I know it's become clear. All of those little things that you do that really sabotage you from, massive amounts of success. For some of you, it's so simple as just like staying up too late at night, not valuing your rest, not valuing your routines, because then you wake up late in the morning, you don't have time to exercise. Like, this is all that Virgo stuff that happens that we're like, oh my God, but we could be so much better, If you know that your body doesn't react well when you drink alcohol, or, your body doesn't react well when you eat a certain food, and yet you find yourself still participating in those actions and doing those things. And it's like, okay, but how long do I want to stay in the suffering? Because these are choices to stay in the suffering. And the Justice card means that the action that you put forth now is an indication of the results. If you choose to ignore or stay in the darkness and not make the changes ultimately towards your healthiest, mentally, physically, spiritual health, if you don't make those choices now, if you continue to sabotage yourself, the lessons will become more and more severe, right? Why would you want to miss out on this fortune's wheel, luck and right timing? And this Justice card, Seven of Swords in reverse, and the Temperance card is an indication that the universe is bringing you beautiful gifts. And I love that next to the Fortune's wheel, I radiate my peace outwards. I have faith. I am devoted, and I understand that forgiveness frees me. This is a card of Mecca. This is your true belonging. And when I see the King of Pentacles kind of talking about that, of legacy and belonging and purpose, and I see the card of Mecca, which is all about the purpose, the right place, and you literally have luck and right timing. This is a time to really take action and make these changes in your life. This is about nurturing your future and knowing that you're worthy of it, understanding that it is all about the little things that you do now that ultimately will dictate how your future turns out. And for some of us right now, it might seem silly, like just to think that tweaking a certain behavior, like your bedtime routine, could have such an effect on your future, dropping a bad habit, no more drinking during the week because you feel foggy, and then you're not so great at work and you can't concentrate, and then you understand why you're not getting these promotions. And and even with our health, like I said, you're eating these certain foods, and every time you eat them, like, right? Judgment card in reverse, these things aren't the best for you. That these aren't the best scenarios. That these aren't the best situations, or they're not the best relationships. If there's some of us that are participating in situationships, it's probably time to kind of look at those things and be like, wait, is this going anywhere? Because the truth of the matter is, I want to start making a movement towards my future. This is such future-oriented energy here. And it's like, I can't continue to participate in things that are just okay for now, because I got to start putting my time, my energy, and making good decisions so that I know that the next 20-year cycle, the next 40-year cycle is going to be everything that I dreamt it would be. This is all about kind of almost putting off those small, short-term pleasures in order for the bigger thing. Holding out for the right partners, holding out for the right business partners even, or the right opportunities, and not grasping onto the little things. And it's not about the pleasure of the moment as much as it is about recognizing your ability to achieve the big, big things. And Libra, I can't make it clear enough to you that this is a very lucky time. And if you put forth the energy and you make the good decisions, it's going to pay off in heavy dividends. The Temperance card is an indication of universal support, and the universe just needs you to start taking action towards the things that you already know. Look, there's no lack of intelligence in this reading, Justice card, Jupiter. We've got Saturn. We've got, you know, the Aries archetype. We've got the initiator, the cardinal sign archetypes all over this. You know what's best for you. You know what you want. You know what you want your future to look like, okay? If you are somebody that wants that perfect relationship, 2 kids, beautiful home, then it's probably time to start taking your future seriously, right? Let's talk about the kind of job that you need, the kind of education that you require in order for those things to really happen. If you're somebody who starts to really look towards retirement, well, okay, let's have an honest look at what I could do now and the sacrifices that I can make now, right? In order to shape my security for my future. Strategy and planning is going to be an amazing tool for you guys to use this month. I can see a lot of Libras really pouring through those spreadsheets, pouring through your portfolios and your investments and making some big decisions. And the idea or the worst thing that you could do is procrastinate these big decisions, because right now you have luck on your side. Next month, November, December, mainly December, it's not going to be a good time to address anything as far as finances. Structurally, you know, it's going to be a hard time. So if you can kind of plan now and make the sacrifices now, even to just get yourself a cushion, knowing that as we move into November, December, and really through March of next year, there could be stuff going on where we have to, you know, like the inflation and stuff, where we have to really work with less than what we feel like we have now. So, you know, in all ways, it is just such a ripe and beautiful time for us to right the ways that we self-sabotage ourselves this month, and to get healthy and to find hope and strategy towards the brighter future. And I also want to remind you guys with this Mecca card, and especially because of everything that's going on, right, in the country, in the world, really, we're looking at all of these countries really struggling, people fighting, there's such polarization. And Libra, you seem to be this rock, you seem to be this light. There's something so sure in you, something that knows, you know, Justice card, again, your card, something in you that knows that it all will work out for the greater good. And I think that as well, because we have this luck card here, this Wheel of Fortune card, it's important to understand that the more that you can stay in this peaceful, calm place, do not allow like outside influences and the news and everything to really change or have you change your direction or lose your focus in any way, because this is so important. The universe wants you to achieve this because it wants to reward you. The way that you go about this piece is something you could share with the world in the years to come, as things get harder and harder, as they will, before things get better. And I think you have a lot to contribute. So I think the universe is going to put all of you in these positions where you can contribute to those that you love. So pay attention for those opportunities and make sure you're not doing anything to sabotage them. All right. Fantastic and hopeful reading, Libra. It's absolutely beautiful. I wish you guys a very wonderful month of September, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.